This is CTV News with Nafisa Karim.
People in the streets aren't happy, the citizens aren't happy, the business owners aren't happy, nobody's happy.
50 mayors take a stand, frustrated with a fight for change. Their calls to higher levels of government for improved safety on the street. Also tonight.
This work shows that there may be an untapped potential in psychedelics.
Cultivated care. UVic researchers explore the potential for a new therapy for traumatic brain injuries. Plus, Adam finds out the story behind a punk-looking pup with an unexpected name. Later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight on the steps of the BC legislature, where mayors and councillors from across BC joined to form a common voice, calling on the province and federal governments to prioritize public safety in their communities. CTV's Brendan Strain reports.
It's a plea for help from all corners of the province.
There are a lot of gaps in service provisions and availability in social services.
From Victoria to Prince George.
The level of disorder is proving to be an enormous challenge for local governments to manage.
To Kelowna.
People are frustrated, and quite frankly, they are exhausted.
Teaming up with the Save Our Streets Coalition, 50 mayors and councillors took to the front steps of the BC legislature, demanding the province and federal government do more to combat crime in communities throughout BC.
How do we care for the people who are on our streets committing lots of crime that are sick?
On the provincial side, the group is calling for more supports for those individuals dealing with mental illness and addiction issues in order to get them off the streets with the help they desperately need. On the federal side, these municipal politicians are calling for bail reform to stop what is being called a catch and release policy, allowing offenders to reoffend again and again.
This is not the British Columbia that our citizens deserve.
One of those voices demanding change is the mayor of Nanaimo.
Nobody is happy. The people in the streets aren't happy, the citizens aren't happy, the business owners aren't happy. Nobody's happy.
I hear the frustrations and I share these frustrations.
Responding to the criticism of her ministry, the Solicitor General and Minister of Public Safety defended the progress the province has already made.
Recently, we saw the release of Statistics Canada's Crime Severity Index, which showed BC had the largest drop in crime severity across the country of 11%.
The minister admits there is more work to be done and says the provincial government is committed to seeing that work through.
So for heaven's sakes, get on with it.
These mayors say their communities need a faster response and some serious investments by higher levels of government when it comes to community safety, crime and disorder. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
Police investigators are looking into a 62-year-old man's death in Victoria, which has been deemed suspicious. Vic PD says it was called to Armine Place off Richardson Street because of an injured person. Patrol officers found him dead when they arrived around 1:30 p.m. Tuesday. Detectives with the Vancouver Island Integrated Major Crime Unit are at the home a day later. Vic PD says the team was engaged after uncovering evidence and circumstances at the scene that appear suspicious. Police say there's no information to suggest any risk to the public. Investigators expect to be in the area over the coming days. The BC General Employees Union escalated strike action again today by targeting provincial liquor stores. A picket line is up at one of the South Island's busiest BCLCs at Fort and Foul Bay. The retail workers are among 600 union employees who've walked off the job at 25 liquor branches. The BCGEU says the locations have been chosen because of how much money they make for government coffers. The union is hoping the tactic will push the province back to the negotiating table. About 14,000 government workers are taking part in the strike, which is into its fourth week. New research out of the University of Victoria indicates certain psychedelics may help treat brain injuries. It joins a growing pile of evidence supporting the use of psychedelic compounds for various ailments. As CTV's Anna McMillan shows us, this type of research is being celebrated, but there's worry it isn't being taken seriously by policymakers.
Researchers say the work happening in this University of Victoria lab could help millions of people affected by traumatic brain injuries.
And we still lack effective therapies. This work shows that there may be an untapped potential in psychedelics.
They're looking at 2 psychedelic compounds, psilocybin, often known as magic mushrooms, and another compound that can be found in toad venom and certain plants.
This was actually an experiential learning opportunity for an undergraduate student. And so they delved into the literature, they looked at human studies, preclinical rodent studies, and studies that combine both methodologies.
What they found is the psychedelics may help heal brain injuries by encouraging new neural pathways to form and reducing inflammation in the brain.
There's definitely a lot of stigma around that lingers because of the war on drugs, you know, getting banned in the 1960s and 70s. A lot of people inherently assume that they're dangerous, or maybe just recreational drugs, or maybe that they're not used you know, with assisted therapy.
As more research points to various treatment uses for psychedelics, health policy is still catching up. That's according to an organization pushing for legalization and training for healthcare professionals.
Research does move policy. Like, we know that's the case. But from the research that already exists, we thought that we'd have a legal system at this point.
UVic says its new research still needs to be tested.
The emerging evidence from other patient populations, such as with depression or anxiety, are very promising. And, you know, there's a lot of similar pathophysiological characteristics between these patients and those that have brain injuries.
The hope is clinical trials will solidify how effective psychedelics are for treating those injuries going forward. Anna McMillan, CTV News, UVic.
The Comox Valley Airport is soaring to a new high. It's already had a banner year, and the summer season is fueling that momentum with more passengers using the airport. More than 50,000 passengers came through the Comox Valley Airport terminal in August, setting a single-month high. And 8 of their last 11 months have set terminal records. Higher levels of family and leisure travelers, along with a popular direct flight to Toronto, were seen as factors in the significant increase in demand. The airport says its typical annual average growth rate is about 3%. This year's rate has taken off.
This year, dating back to January 1st, we're actually at 14%. So it used to be, the conversation used to be, how are we recovering from the pandemic? At this point, we are blowing pre-pandemic numbers out of the water.
The airport is expanding the apron to make room for more planes and planning a long-term terminal expansion, too. It's the 5th leg of this year's Cops for Cancer Tour de Rock, with the team pedaling their way through the Comox Valley today. Riders made several stops in the valley. One of them was at the Berwick Retirement Community in Comox, where the seniors' home handed over a check for more than $1,800 for Cops for Cancer. The team will stick around the region tomorrow morning before heading south, stopping by Puntledge Elementary School, where local rider and Deputy Sheriff Graham Fuller's children go to school.
My 3 kids aren't affected by cancer, but I know some who are, and it's so easy to see it in anybody and just how devastating it is to the families. So I'm really looking forward to rolling in there and seeing all those bright little smiling faces.
The tour heads south tomorrow, stopping in Qualicum and Parksville.
18 degrees right now in Victoria after hitting 20 for a daytime high today. Looks like this might be the last 20-degree day of the month. We'll talk about that and have the rest of your forecast right after.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Plan, book, and safeguard your journeys. Explore the possibilities at expediacruises.ca.
West Shore Youth, looking for a fun spot to hang out? Youth nights are here. Skating, art, swims, and a place to chill. Staff-led and supervised for a safe, inclusive vibe. Check out wspr.ca for more info.
I've been saying that instead of autumn, it feels like August, Josh, but how long is that going to last? Is this it?
This is it for a while. We'll see what happens in October. I mean, you might still see a few more warm days in October, but we got to 20.2 for a daytime high in Victoria today, and that will likely be the last time we get to 20 degrees in the month of September. It was 21 in Nanaimo. We're at 19 right now. Nice and warm in Port Alberni, into the mid-20s, just mid-teens, though, in Port Hardy. On average, in the month of September, you get 13 days, 20 or hotter. Today made it 16, so just slightly above average for the number of days in the 20s, which is probably why you've been saying it feels like it's August. Clear skies across most of the island right now. A little bit of thin cloud cover further to the north. There's the next system getting set to make its way in. It'll take a little while. It'll produce some scattered showers here and some increased cloud cover across central and northern parts of the island. There's tomorrow morning some hit and miss showers, some occasional showers in the north and through inland areas, and possibly around Comox later in the day tomorrow. It all pretty much stays out of the Victoria area until we get to Friday, late in the day especially, but this could be really heavy rain in through parts of the North Island for Friday, especially later in the day. I think you might see 30 to 50 millimeters worth of rain through the course of the day Friday. That's on top of some showers tomorrow. And look at those temperatures, 13 and 14 for daytime highs Thursday, Friday, and 11 for a daytime high on Sunday. 6 degrees cooler than average. Average daytime high is 17 degrees. Chances of some scattered showers, 18 degrees tomorrow for inland areas. Some rain Friday, especially late in the day, carrying through into the first half of the day Saturday. I think some spots could maybe see 10 to 20 millimeters worth of rain. Highs of about 15 Friday, Saturday, and then some more rain in the forecast for Sunday, and a high of just 13. So big cool down on the way for almost everybody as we head into the weekend. A few showers out on the west coast tomorrow, high of 17. Most of those showers will be north of Tofino, and then rain for much of the west coast on Friday, possibly 20 to 40 millimeters worth of rain. Cloudy skies through the weekend and cool, 14 and 13 for highs. Comox up to 17 tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds. 16 Friday with mostly cloudy skies and some late day showers. Looks drier for Saturday, but still cloudy, 15 under mostly cloudy skies, and then some rain on Sunday and 13 degrees in Victoria. Or in Nanaimo, rather, 18 degrees tomorrow, 17 on Friday, chance of late day showers. Rain in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday in Nanaimo. Most of the steadiest rain will be early Saturday. Now in Victoria, partly cloudy tomorrow, some morning fog patches. We'll get to about 18 degrees tomorrow, and then mid-teens for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, with the chance of some showers Friday morning, and then some showers in the forecast as well through the weekend. CTV weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So not just back to average, slightly cooler than average, Nafisa.
All right, thanks, Josh. Well, if you need a cozy late summer campfire to deal with those cooler temperatures, sounds like a good idea. And as of tomorrow, it's an idea you can make a reality. The Coastal Fire Center says it will pull all campfire and backyard burning restrictions at noon on Thursday. The return to burning comes after campfire bans in northern sections of the island were announced last week. In the North Island Coastal Forest District and Haida Gwaii Forest District, tomorrow will also come with the return of industrial burning. A 25-year-old Victoria-based climate activist is the new leader of the BC Green Party. The party has announced Emily Lowen won the leadership race with more than 3,000 votes. Lowen doesn't have a seat in the legislature, but says she plans to run in the next viable by-election or the next general election.
We are at the forefront of a powerful movement that will reclaim BC's economy for working people, not billionaires and multinational corporations. Together, we can build a resilient, thriving province that respects Indigenous sovereignty and our planetary boundaries. As your BC Greens leader, I will continue to put everything I have on the line for our world and for our future, because we are worthy of better.
Former leader Sonia Furstenau lost her bid for re-election in last year's provincial election. She stepped down from the post in January. Simon Fraser University has received a rare donation, 11 rings and 2 medallions believed to date back to medieval times. The artifacts were discovered at Chilliwack's Thrifty Boutique and were listed for just $30, but an archaeologist saw them and told staff they could be significant. Experts believe the items may be medieval, and they'll now be studied as part of the new SFU archaeology course. Students will be tasked with uncovering the origins of the collection while exploring the ethical challenges museums face when accepting undocumented antiquities. We're hearing from Health Canada for the first time over claims made by Donald Trump about the pain medication Tylenol. The agency is contradicting his statements. Health Canada says, quote, there is no conclusive evidence that using acetaminophen as directed during pregnancy causes autism or other neurodevelopmental disorders, and that it's the recommended treatment of pain and fever in pregnancy. Acetaminophen is the generic name for Tylenol. Health Canada says not treating fever and pain in pregnant women can pose risks to the unborn child. Trump made the unproven claims about the drug at a news conference earlier this week. Affordable housing is a major problem, with more people than ever experiencing homelessness. There could be a workable solution in what a small community in Fredericton is doing, and some think the rest of Canada should be watching. CTV's Sarah Plowman explains.
The homes are tiny, but the hope each offers is huge.
I really didn't think I was going to survive this long. My name is Petra. I'm one of the entrepreneurs here.
Once homeless and feeling hopeless, Petra Haynes now has both and a business.
These are the pillows I have.
She lives here and sells her crafts at a shop steps away where people who were once unhoused are now blossoming entrepreneurs. She just sold a sticker.
It's definitely really helped me.
So this is my art. The money, skills, and confidence they earn replaces self-doubt.
Being able to actually have this like a thing and it's really happening, it's mind-blowing.
Marcel Lebrun is the mastermind behind the community, the cafe next door where some work, and this program. He believes purpose is key to unlocking potential.
To see somebody go from unhoused to housed, obviously people think, well, that's great, they're safe and they're warm, but from going to have a sense of purpose is the most transformative thing by far.
So when the carpenters are finished, I go hunting.
Susan Hayward creates art like these miniature tiny homes from scraps left over from home builds. Her days are more meaningful.
I want to be happy every day, and this is bringing me happiness.
These businesses really are being built on self-belief. They're investing in themselves because somebody else invested in them.
The list of the most popular baby names in Canada is out, and a couple of familiar choices continue to dominate the charts. For the 9th year running, Olivia is the most popular name for girls, while Noah tops the list for boys for the 4th straight year. Runners-up were Liam and Charlotte. However, Sophia with a PH and Sophia with an F came in separately at 5th and 6th, and if combined, that name would topple Olivia's reign as most popular. You can see the full list at ctvnews.ca. Nafisa, not on the list. Coming up, Punk Pup. Adam meets a dog whose name does not seem to match her collar. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
5K a day is back on 107.3 Virgin Radio. Listen to Bailey and Johnny in the morning for your chance to win $5,000
every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Finally, Adam finds out the story behind a punk-looking pup's unexpected name on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Atta girl.
This dog could be called anything, but Fido or Fluffy is unlikely when her fashion is this fierce.
Oh, well, for sure, punk rock, right?
And it wouldn't be wrong to say Donna Mae, who once shaved her head, grew up appreciating punk.
Probably a little screw you to the establishment felt good when you're younger, but then the music just hooks you.
So, instead of a classic like Rover, it wouldn't be surprising if Donna named her pup after a rocker like Rotten, Ramone, or Iggy.
Iggy Pop.
Donna didn't. But to appreciate what she did name this dog, we need to go back to when her previous pup, Kiwi, died.
Love of my life, Kiwi. Yeah, I was heartbroken.
And like a punk might armor themselves in a black leather jacket, Donna barricaded the pet part of her heart.
Never wanted another dog.
But then the folks at a dog rescue kept sending her pictures of this pup. and Donna agreed to temporarily foster Mika.
But she had no reaction to her former name. I would say it, there was nothing.
But there was something about the way this little dog found a way to fill that big hole in Donna's heart and heal it.
She's just sweet as can be. So we called her Sweet Pea, and she responds, like, right away.
So, Sweet Pea stuck. Donna adopted her, and now the dog mom is adding a couple DIY projects to her collection of vintage T-shirts. But instead of featuring punk bands on the front, Donna's hand-sewn pop pockets.
So that I can put her in them. What? And have my hands free.
Because all Sweet Pea really wants to do is cuddle as close as she can, as often as she can, despite her collar conveying the contrary.
I think she might be a poser. She just really looks good in her collar.
There's no punk spirit here.
Probably more of a classical girl.
Probably. But perhaps smashing open a heart hardened by loss, and like Iggy Pop reigniting a lust for life, all the while being named Sweet Pea, is also kind of punk. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Burnaby.
Well, the camera sure loves her. That is it for CTV News Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night. Today on CTV News, last-minute reprieve.
No matter the fact is, we're all here to celebrate today.
The Supreme Court of Canada grants a stay for a flock of ostriches ordered culled by the CFIA. Also tonight.
It was completely preventable. We all know that. He wasn't running, he wasn't fleeing.
Recognizing the signs of a disability, troubling questions in light of last year's heartbreaking police shooting of a Surrey teenager with autism. And
about a year ago, I was approached by the Chilliwack thrift store that they had received this unusual donation of objects.
an incredible find, rare medieval artifacts, including rings and medallions, how some local students will help unlock their secrets.
This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The BC General Employees Union has upped the ante in its strike action. Dozens of public liquor stores closed today as employees walked off the job and hit the picket lines. CTV's Kevin Chirac joins us now live from a BC liquor store turned picket line in Vancouver. Kevin, another attempt to get the province back to the negotiating table.
Yeah, that's right, Nafisa. We're now weeks into this strike, and you can see employees behind me on the picket lines at Cambie and 39th here at this liquor store. They've been here since the morning. This is one of 25 liquor stores across BC that have shut its doors. Now, not only will this impact everyday consumers, but in particular the restaurant industry. They're mandated to purchase liquor from the province's liquor stores or liquor distribution branch warehouses, which shut down earlier this week amid strike escalation. And the president of the BC Restaurant and Food Association says they don't want to be part of this fight.
I think everybody's disappointed, confused, frustrated, wondering why we part of a labor dispute we have nothing to do with, but now we're being used as a weapon to try to get a settlement.
This is part of a broader escalation after 3 weeks of solid picketing, making this the longest civil service strike in the history of the province. And of course, government is still refusing to negotiate, to come back to the table with a fair wage offer.
The union says the retail store locations where pickets have gone up were chosen because they are, quote, a significant source of government revenue. The provincial government did not respond to our request for comment. Now, whether this escalation brings government back to the table remains to be seen, but the union says it does have more cards it can play. Only about 10,000 of the BCGEU employees out of 34,000 have taken part in strike action thus far. Nafisa.
Thank you, Kevin. Municipal leaders from across the province joined together in a unified call for Victoria and Ottawa to take action to stem the tide of street disorder and crime in BC. CTV's Legislative Bureau Chief Rob Buffum joins us live from Victoria with more. Rob.
Nafisa, earlier today, about 60 mayors and councillors from across the province stood on these front steps of the legislature trying to get a message to the politicians who work in the building that they want to see them lead with action, not words. The event was organized, or the call to action was organized by the group Save Our Streets, which first raised concerns about public safety and street disorder a year ago. The group and politicians, including members of the BC Conservatives, are calling for more Crown prosecutors, stricter bail reform, more effective drug treatment and supportive housing, along with broader application of involuntary care. And they say the province simply has not done enough to address the problem.
Our streets, our businesses, our communities, our people are feeling overwhelmed. This is not the British Columbia that our citizens deserve. This should be a priority to deal with that crisis.
We are acting each and every day, and in my role of Solicitor General, I must thank the work of police, which is, they lead with such expertise and dedication.
Clearly, many municipal leaders and business groups across BC don't agree that enough action is being taken. Not only did they rally at the legislature to make that point today, but there are 14 resolutions during this week's Union of BC Municipalities meetings related to crime, public safety, and street disorder. And the issue of public safety has really dominated this week's meetings so far. Premier Eby has been out of town. He has been in New York all this week for Climate Action Week. So we'll have to see on Friday. He is here delivering the keynote speech on the final day of the event to mayors and councillors. So it will be interesting to see if he demonstrates that he has heard this message they were trying to make today and throughout the week, and if there are any concrete actions that he announces. Nafisa.
Rob Buffum, live in Victoria. Thank you, Rob. Nearly 400 ostriches at a farm in the West Kootenay have dodged a cull, at least for now. The birds have been temporarily spared by a stay granted by the Supreme Court of Canada. The order prevents the Canadian Food Inspection Agency from destroying the flock while the farm seeks leave to appeal. The news led to celebrations at Universal Ostrich Farm in Edgewood, which used to sell its birds for meat.
We went from intrepidation to confusion to absolute euphoria 2 times over to a bit of kick in the kneecaps with the fact that the CFIA is still here.
As much as I don't like the idea of advocating for the death of seemingly healthy animals, if those animals pose a threat scientifically, health-wise, or economically to Canada, I think that we need to take the same course that we've taken with all of our poultry bird flu outbreaks.
The stay follows a suspicious fire involving hay bales early this morning. The CFIA started building the hay enclosures yesterday in preparation for the cull. RCMP say the fire is under investigation and add officers will remain on site. A provincial NDP minister's spending is coming under fire from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation for a $6,600 limo service bill, but the finance minister is hitting back, calling the allegations false. In 2023, Minister Brenda Bailey flew to Boston on a trade mission for a life sciences convention. According to an FOI by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, Bailey spent around $6,600 for a limousine service over 4 days. The group alleges the cost of the trip was around $44,000. Bailey disputes the claims, calling them mostly inaccurate.
The numbers that were reported by the Taxpayers Association were in fact quite twisted. This trip was less than half than they reported. There was no limo. There were 6 people in an SUV.
It's unacceptable for a minister to be blowing this kind of money on such frivolous luxuries.
Bailey is adamant the trip was worth it and says it generated hundreds of millions of dollars in investments for the British Columbian economy. Still ahead, priceless finds at a Chilliwack thrift shop. Why local archaeologists are amazed. But first,
it was completely preventable. We all know that. It was preventable. He did not have to die.
Calls for police officers to be trained on how to handle situations involving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in light of the shooting death of a Surrey teen with autism.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Vancouver, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Welcome back. A warning, this next story contains disturbing content. The police-involved shooting death of 15-year-old Chase de Ballenard, who was on the autism spectrum, sparked outrage across the disability community. Now advocates are raising serious concerns about whether BC police officers are adequately trained to handle situations involving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In February, Chase was fatally shot by RCMP while holding what turned out to be an unloaded pellet gun. Advocates say his behavior in the moments before was consistent with sensory overload and that officers weren't trained to recognize the signs.
He wasn't running, he wasn't fleeing, he was staggering, which were signs of dysregulation and disassociation to a space and place. As an autistic parent and person, I can pick up those things. If they're not trained and exposed, they would never know what that is. It could look as disregarding the commands. There are a lot of families in the province that are watching to see what the province does in response to Chase's death. It was completely preventable. We all know that. It was preventable. He did not have to die.
BC requires officers to take crisis intervention training every 3 years, but critics argue it falls short. The province says new autism-specific training will roll out this fall. Part 3 of our investigation, Lost in Translation, the death of Chase de Ballenard, airs tonight at 6 and on ctvnewsvancouver.ca. A CTV News investigation has uncovered a scam where a would-be tenant signs a long-term lease on a furnished downtown Vancouver condo only to turn around and illegally list that unit on Airbnb and Booking.com. Tonight, we ask the housing minister why this fraud is happening when a new provincial law was supposed to ensure compliance from short-term rental platforms.
In order to list a downtown Vancouver condo on a short-term rental site, a host must pay provincial and municipal registration fees. But on Booking.com and Airbnb, we found numerous condos listed for nightly rentals that claim the property doesn't require license or registration.
It's a problem that we are working on in terms of compliance and enforcement.
On June 2nd, the province enacted a new law that requires short-term rental platforms to remove any listings that don't include a legal registration number. But a quick search proves that's not happening.
We have clear expectations with the platforms, and these listings that are listed as exempt but shouldn't be can face significant monetary penalties, and our compliance and enforcement unit continues to follow up and enforce them.
In an emailed statement, Booking.com said, as part of our commitment to regulatory compliance, we have implemented mechanisms specifically designed for British Columbia to verify that in-scope accommodation partners provide legitimate registration numbers and/or valid legal exemptions.
So this is the second listing that they ended up putting on Booking.com.
But Colvin Wong said not only was his partner's furnished downtown condo not exempt from short-term rental laws, the person who listed it for nightly stays on Booking.com had signed a lease as a long-term tenant.
It's been an extremely stressful situation.
I share that outrage, and we will continue to strictly enforce these rules, these penalties, remove listings, and make sure that that good hosts are able to continue to host, and that scammers and folks not in compliance listing illegal listings are penalized and removed from sites.
The minister said 1,800 non-compliant short-term rental listings have been removed in the past year. But when we asked how many faced financial penalties...
My understanding is there's been one fine in the last few months.
Wong worries if there's little chance of being fined, fake tenants will continue signing long-term leases and posting unregistered listings on short-term rental sites.
If you're making what the listing said was about $500 a night and paying about $125 for long-term rental, you're making $375 a day per apartment that you have.
A lucrative scam that new laws haven't been able to stop. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Simon Fraser University has received a rare donation, 11 rings and 2 medallions believed to date back to medieval times. The artifacts were discovered at Chilliwack's Thrifty Boutique and were listed for just $30. But an archaeologist saw them and told staff they could be significant. Experts believe the items may be medieval, and they'll now be studied as part of a new SFU archaeology course. Students will be tasked with uncovering the origins of the collection while exploring the ethical challenges museums face when accepting undocumented antiquities. After the break, we've got some furry friends looking for their forever homes. Maybe you can help. Plus, speaking of furry friends, we'll show you where this bear decided to go for a dip to cool off on a hot day. Plus, Anne's forecast is next. We'll be right back. A family in the interior had a surprise guest in their backyard when they spotted a bear swimming in their pool. The young bear appeared to be cooling off and enjoying the final days of warm weather before gearing up for hibernation season. And of course, it had to give a big shake-off after getting out. I don't blame the bear. It's been pretty warm lately.
Exactly. And sun continues to shine for the southern interior especially. Same goes for us. So summer is still holding on. It doesn't feel like fall quite yet, but that's all going to change as we head into the weekend. So low pressure system offshore bringing in more wet weather for the north coast. It's slowly going to slide down the central coast and eventually to us as we head into the weekend. Here's a look at our weather tracker. It is wet already for the north coast as well as parts of Haida Gwaii. Continuing through the overnight into tomorrow morning for your early morning commute. It gets wet for the central interior as a central coast as well, bringing in some showers for the northern tip of Vancouver Island tomorrow afternoon and bringing in some cloud coverage for us along the south coast. For the southern interior Kamloops, you'll see increasing cloud coverage with a high of 22. Other than that, mostly sunny skies from Vernon right down to Surrey's, temperatures between 25 and 27 degrees. Blue skies and sunshine for Nelson and Cranbrook, temperatures between 25 and 26. Touch cooler for Revelstoke with a high of 21 degrees tomorrow. You'll see periods of rain along the coast as mentioned for Bella Coola, 13 degrees. Showers for Prince George, Quesnel and Williams Lake. Cool temperatures between 12 and 14 degrees. Soggy for Terrace, periods of rain and 11. Showers for Prince Rupert and Smithers. You'll see a mix of sun and cloud for Fort Nelson with a high of 15 degrees. You'll see showers in the afternoon as well for Port Hardy with a high of 13. Increasing cloud coverage with some sunny breaks, 17s for Campbell River and Comox. For the South Island, overcast skies for Tofino and 17. Other than that, you're looking at a mix of sun and cloud from Port Alberni right down to Victoria, temperatures between 14 and 18 degrees. For the Sunshine Coast, you'll see sunny breaks and 17, a touch warmer up the Sea to Sky Highway for Squamish at 18 degrees. And for us across the lower mainland, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures just around 17 across the lower mainland. Heading into Friday, we'll see cloudy skies and showers going down to 16, light rain for Saturday, showers on Sunday. Heading into Monday, we'll see 18 degrees with periods of rain. So that rain we're hoping to hold off until after the weekend is now moving in on Friday. So get your umbrellas out.
It was nice while it lasted.
It sure was.
Thanks, Anne.
You're welcome.
Time for Homeward Bound, a new weekly segment where we introduce you to some furry friends from local rescues who are looking for their forever home.
Yes, here are some cats from the Vancouver Orphan Kitty Rescue Association, also known as VOCRA.
Genji is an affectionate girl who loves a lot of attention. She's very social, enjoys food puzzles and treat scavenger hunts. She's made great strides on her health journey since arriving to the shelter very overweight. She is okay with older kids but would prefer to be the only pet in the home.
And Winnie and Kitty are a mother-daughter pair who must be adopted together. 8-year-old Winnie is a low-maintenance, easygoing cat who loves her naps. She has passed that on to 7-year-old Kitty, also known as Kitsilana, who also has a little more sass. They are okay with older kids, but would appreciate no other cats in their home.
So floofy. Well, Sammy's an older girl who's still young at heart, nearing 12 years old. Her favorite thing to do is eat, and she gets very intoxicated when the catnip comes out. She loves to chase a laser or a mouse on a string. Now, she has not lived with other pets, but is okay with people being in her home.
And she should be queen cat. And for more information, head to vocra.ca.
We do have a happy update from last week's segment. Ooh. Porter, the cat, has been adopted from the SPCA in Richmond. After the break, take a look at this, some rare footage of an endangered shark species, and it reveals a saucy secret. Why this video of a trio of sharks might have you blushing. A CTV News at 5 continues. Now, the preview of CTV News at 6, Mi-Jung Lee.
Nafisa, striking public servants are ramping up their job action. Picket lines shut down 25 liquor stores across the province. Liquor distribution branches have already been targeted. We talked to the restaurant industry about the impact. And a woman who took her car in for an oil change is raising concerns about a Surrey mechanic. She's not happy with their sales tactics. Why police were there when she went to pick up her car. And supporters of an ostrich farm are celebrating tonight why the birds will not be culled for now. I'll be back at 6. Nafisa?
Thanks, Mi-Jung. Researchers captured an unprecedented mating moment on camera involving not a pair of sharks, but a trio. CNN's Jeremy Roth has that story and more in Take a Look at This.
For the first time ever, researchers say they captured on camera endangered leopard sharks mating in the wild. And if that wasn't wild enough, what they witnessed is being described as a, quote, shark threesome. Yes, you heard that right. And no, I will not be saying it again. Documented in a paper published in the Journal of Ethology and caught on camera by researchers with Australia's University of the Sunshine Coast, the encounter showed 2 male sharks swimming alongside a female before one engaged in the mating act, followed almost immediately by the other. According to researcher Dr. Hugo Lasauce, mating events are rare to witness in any shark species, and researchers have only previously seen courtship interactions of leopard sharks, but not the act itself, let alone group activities. Lasauce also noted following the events the females swam away, while the males lay somewhat motionless on the sea floor, appearing exhausted. Another water-based group activity went down in downtown Chicago, and don't worry, this one was squeaky clean, at least by Chicago River standards, that is. For a very long time, the river that runs through the Windy City, yes, the same one they turn green for St. Paddy's every year, was considered too polluted for recreational activities. But after decades of cleanup efforts, the river was finally deemed safe for swimmers, confirmed by tests from the University of Illinois Chicago returning a green flag signifying suitable swimming conditions. And swim they did. Thousands gathered to watch hundreds of swimmers take part in an event to benefit ALS research and youth swimming education, which reportedly raised $150,000. The event, known famously as the Chicago River Swim, was the first of its kind in nearly a century. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
I wait for this day every year. Stats Canada has released its list of the most popular baby names in 2025, just to see if my name will be on it.
Okay, I was going to say.
There are some familiar names continuing to dominate the top of the list. Olivia is the most popular name for girls, the 9th straight year that is the case. Noah tops the list for boys for the 4th year in a row. Runners-up were Liam and Charlotte. Hey, I looked up your name.
Yes.
Anne came in at 455th most
I'm
popular.
still on the list.
Nafisa, once again, not on the list.
Which means you're an original.
I'm an original.
Right?
My name means precious and or unique, so.
I think more should be named Nafisa. It might catch on.
You heard it.
All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. A seal sunning itself in Port Moody.
Ooh.
Thanks, Natalie, for taking this candid shot. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well. So email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Apparently, if you took Sophia with a PH and Sophia with an F, combine them, it would beat Olivia.
Oh, well, there you go,
there's
Sophia's.
technically a winner that beat Olivia. Mi-Jung will be back for CTV News at 6. Right now, here is Sandy Ronaldo with CTV National News. Have a great evening.